I will now call the January 16th Blue Springs City Council meeting to order. If you would stand with me, observe a moment of silence, and then I will lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I want to welcome those of you in attendance as well as those that might be watching on cable TV to tonight's City Council meeting. Next, we have the consent agenda. Are there items to be pulled? If not, I accept the motion for approval.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Kaler?
Aye.
Councilman Fowler?
Aye.
Councilman Carter?
Aye.
Councilman Edmondson?
Aye.
Councilman Culpepper?
Aye.
Mayor Ross?
Aye.
Carries unanimously.
Before we go to the first public hearing, I want the audience to know that we sent a memo out saying that we suspended the dress code tonight. We wanted everybody to come dressed warmly. Councilman Fowler decided that he wanted to get a gold star tonight, so he came dressed in his usual fashion.
My only chance to outdress you guys.
Okay, moving on. We have a public hearing on the vacation of street and alley right-of-way generally located at 903 West Main Street.
Mayor Ross, the city has the following exhibits to enter into the record: council information form with attachments, planning commission staff report with attachments, and bill number 4544. This is all we have to enter into the record at this time.
Okay, we go to staff report.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening, I'm going to do both requests for the vacation and the rezoning together. So I don't know, Dylan, if you need to enter
Are we doing both?
those records as well.
Well, we might as well go ahead because they're both related here, so we'll go ahead and do both.
Okay. We have additional exhibits into the record then: council information form with attachments, planning commission staff report with attachments, and bill number 4545.
Okay. Before you this evening are two requests related to the City Hall renovation and addition project. This is a 2-acre site located at the northeast corner of West Main Street and Northwest 10th Street, which includes the main City Hall building, which is addressed as 903 West Main, the City Hall Annex building addressed as 905 West Main, and the former engineering building at 907 West Main, which was recently demolished. The first request is for the vacation of both street and alley right-of-way. The undeveloped alley begins at Northwest 10th Street and travels to, sorry, let me get this, travels east approximately 210 feet. This currently is between, pull up the map for you, is located between the main City Hall building and the City Hall Annex building. This alley was platted in 1885 and is no longer needed. A new addition to the City Hall, which will connect City Hall to the Annex, will be built over the existing alley. A portion of Northwest 10th Street is also requested to be vacated as shown here. This portion of right-of-way became right-of-way through a 1962 plat, approximately 24 feet wide. The existing area is currently being utilized as parking lot for the main City Hall, which is located outside of the right-of-way. Therefore, it no longer needs to be deeded as public right-of-way. Any public utilities that are impacted by the areas that are requested to be vacated will be relocated with the renovation and addition of City Hall. And where it's not being relocated, a utility easement will be provided on the final plat to accommodate the utility that's located on private property. The second request is for a rezoning. Let me pull the maps up on that. The subject property is currently Zone T5, which is the urban center, which is shown in red, and then the remainder of the property is Zone T4, which is general urban in the Downtown Development Code. The entire 2-acre site is requested to be rezoned to CS, which is civic space. This will match the zoning district that is included on the public safety building, as well as portions of Central Park south of Walnut Street. The existing and proposed land use for City Hall is classified as public government service, which is most appropriate in a prominent civic building under the Downtown Development Code. Prominent civic buildings are only permitted in the CS zoning district and will also require approval of a conditional use permit by the Planning Commission. The Downtown Review Board did review both the vacation and the rezoning and recommended approval of both requests. And staff and the Planning Commission also recommend approval of both requests, including the vacation with 4 conditions. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, thank you. We will now go to the public on either one of the public hearing items, the vacation of the street and alley right-of-way or the rezoning. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak in support of? In support of? In opposition to? Opposition to? Close this public hearing. Next, we'll go to the introduction of Bill 4544 that deals with the vacation of the street and alley.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
Okay.
Bill number 4544, an ordinance vacating a portion of street and alley right-of-way located generally at 903, 905, and 907 West Main Street in Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Second reading of Bill number 4544, an ordinance vacating a portion of street and alley right-of-way located generally at 903, 905, and 907 West Main Street in Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Move the bill be approved on second reading, given the appropriate ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Fowler?
Aye.
Councilman Carter?
Aye.
Councilman Edmondson?
Aye.
Councilman Culpepper?
Aye.
Councilman Kaler?
Aye.
Mayor Ross?
Aye.
Carries unanimously and given ordinance number 4714.
Next, we have introduction and reading of Bill 4545, approving the rezoning.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
Okay.
First reading of Bill 4545, an ordinance rezoning property from T4 General Urban and T5 Urban Center to CS Civic Space.
Move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Second reading of Bill number 4545, an ordinance rezoning property from T4 General Urban and T5 Urban Center to CS Civic Space.
Move the bill be approved on second reading, given the appropriate ordinance number.
For a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Fowler?
Aye.
Councilman Carter?
Aye.
Councilman Edmondson?
Aye.
Councilman Culpepper?
Aye.
Councilman Kaler?
Aye.
Mayor Ross?
Aye.
Carries unanimously and given ordinance number 4715.
Next, we have a public hearing on annexation of property located at 29606 West Jefferson Street to the city limits.
Mayor Ross, the city has the following exhibits to enter into the record: council information form with attachments, planning commission staff report with attachments, and bill number 4546. That is all we have to enter into the record at this time.
Staff?
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is a request by the property owners to voluntarily annex approximately 29.07 acres into the corporate limits of Blue Springs. This subject property is located at the northeast corner of Northeast Jefferson Street and Northeast 20th Street and is addressed as 29606 West Jefferson Street. And that's all that staff has to present on this application.
Any
Happy to answer
questions?
Any questions you may have.
Council? Not? We'll go to the public. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak in support of? In opposition to? Close this public hearing. Introduction.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
First reading of Bill Number 4546, an ordinance annexing 29.07 plus or minus acres at the northeast corner of the Northeast Jefferson Street and Northeast 20th Street to the City of Blue Springs, Missouri.
Move the bill be approved on its first reading only.
Okay,
Second.
okay, so there's a motion, a second, to first read it, and the second reading will come on the February 20th council meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a public hearing on a de-annexation of property located at 27711 East Wide Road, and we're going to receive a motion to continue that to the February 5th meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a presentation on the Central Jackson County Emergency Management Agency Annual Report. Deputy Chief Seifel, are you going to do that one? Who's going to kick that one off?
Let's vote right, our emergency management employee.
Okay.
He'll explain that.
The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm Les Boatwright. I'm the Assistant Emergency Management Director for Central Jackson County EMA, Emergency Management Association, and I'm here tonight to do a couple of things. One is to give you an update over the last year, what's been going on in the Emergency Management Group. Also to introduce myself to the group because I'm new to Central Jackson County Fire Protection District. And then also, I know you have a resolution right after mine to promulgate the local emergency operations plan. Just sign off on that. So I won't spend too much time on that, but I will mention that as we go on. A little bit about myself before I start the presentation. I'm spent 33 years at Kansas City Power and Light, running their emergency operations programs. And you know, when you go to a meeting and they're making assignments and you don't make the meeting, and then the next thing you know, you're in charge of the meetings. That's kind of what happened along my career somewhere along the way, and they put me in charge of emergency management. But I grew to really love the profession, and so I retired after 33 years, and then Central Jack called and said, hey, we have an opening. And so I jumped at the chance to get back into it because I wanted to continue my career trying to help communities just prepare for the what-ifs. So this presentation tonight, the cooperative agreement that was signed with Blue Springs, Green Valley, Lake Tapawingo, and CJC in 2011 called for an annual update. Well, I noticed that the first update was done in 2012, and then there wasn't another one, so I'm going to get back on track now and give you the annual update. So this will be the first of an annual update from CJC EMA as we go along. And like I said, I'm going to give you the update based on the cooperative agreement, and then a little bit on the local emergency operations plan, or you might see it as LEOP in this presentation. There's a lot of material here. I don't know if you've actually had a copy of the presentation ahead of time, but I think you did get a copy of my annual report, and this is just kind of I pulled the material out of that for the presentation. The Central Jackson County Emergency Management Agency's coordinating group, we meet monthly, and those are the representatives that are the coordinators. You've got Eddie Saffel, Deputy Chief at CJC. He's also the EMD and the PIO for this jurisdiction. Then you've got myself on there. You've got Jason Bonney is an EMA coordinator for CJC. Chris Sandy from Blue Springs is our EMA coordinator for Blue Springs. James Beal for Green Valley. Ken Bergman from Lake Tapawingo, and then Kim Nakahoto from Blue Springs is also our PIO on the group. So that's really the core group, but we have a lot of other people that we meet with too on a monthly basis. The school districts send representatives, other police departments, fire, medical. The state of Missouri, Region A representative usually attends our meetings. So we have a pretty good group of folks. Sometimes we'll have 15 to 20 at those monthly meetings talking about emergency management, what's been going on in Central Jack, what's been going on in the state of Missouri, so that we're all in concert and we're in lockstep. One of the things that we did late last year after I came on in November and December, we actually put together a strategic plan for the Emergency Management Agency. We developed a mission statement and a vision statement. I'm not going to read that slide because this is not death by PowerPoint, I hope. But the big thing here is it's a collaborative effort between community partners, and we really see that with Blue Springs, Green Valley, Lake Tapawingo, and CJC as community partners trying to improve and make life better for those that get afflicted by whether it's a big disaster, whatever happens to hit the region. We also put together a vision statement, and that really talks about fostering partnerships. And that's part of what my role is to continue the partnerships we've got at the local level all the way up through the state and the federal level to make sure that we're really connected with what's going on. And funding the CJC EMA, these are just the different components there. You see CJC, Blue Springs, and then the Emergency Management Performance Grant is money given from the federal government through the state. And it's an annual grant that we apply for. It was time now to wrap up 2017 and apply for the 2018 grant. Those federal funds have been diminishing, but for 2017, CJC was able to get just under $30,000 out of that grant to help fund my salary, my benefits, that type of thing as part of that grant. You can see that there's a CERT grant mentioned at the top. CERT is Community Emergency Response Teams, and we've got a pretty healthy CERT group in this area. We got about $5,000 out of there to buy backpacks for the CERT members, vests, some equipment for them, some sound amplification stuff when we're out doing exercises. So there's been some grant money there we've been able to capitalize on too. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the 4 phases of emergency management. I am a certified emergency manager through the International Association of Emergency Managers, and we espouse the 4 phases here: the mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. And the stuff I have listed up there is really what's been going on with the CJC EMA to kind of prepare the region. In the mitigation phase, the lower left-hand, the purple area, monthly newsletter, and I've got examples here. I don't know if any of you have seen these. I do have copies if you haven't, but I do an internal newsletter for CJC, and then I do an external one to the communities. It goes out to the homeowners groups, the businesses, really just a lot of tips in there about different things to consider as they prepare their employees or their families. Making a plan is a big thing, whether you have a family or a business. You still have to have a plan to know what to do if disaster strikes. The emergency sirens also fall into me, making sure we test those monthly. The THIRA is the Threat and Hazard Identification and Risk Assessment that really we participate in through the MARC region, the Mid-America Regional Council. So we do a lot of work with them, and those have to be back into the state. Every 3 years we have to do a full review of it. So we're in a period now where it's not a review, but the THIRA really looks at a regional wide, what are the things we have to be concerned about to make sure our plans meet those threats. The preparedness piece, we've got the local emergency operations plan, and that's really our Bible, what we follow if something happens. Debris management plan was something that I got to thinking about after Oak Grove got hit. What would we do in this area with a lot of debris if we got hit? We didn't have a debris management plan, so I'm in the process of writing that. And then I'll send it off to the state and then the federal for approval, because if you get state approval and federal approval, your reimbursement dollars go up a little bit, 2 to 5%, which if you've got a fairly large claim, that could be a considerable amount of money just for them to sign off on your plan. There's only a couple of debris management plans in the region that have gone through that approval process, so we're going to try it. We're going to send ours up run up the flagpole and see what happens. COOP is a continuity of operations plan. What happens if your people can't come to work? How do you operate? Do you still offer the same services? And so that's something I've been drafting for CJC as to what we would do if something like that happened and diminish the fire service piece. Training and exercises are a big piece. That's a component of that EMPG grant. I've got anybody that's funded out of that, which my position is, has to do a lot of training and exercises throughout the year, not just locally, but also regionally and at the state level. The response piece, I've got drone flyover. We used that in the Oak Grove tornado. We had some unincorporated Jackson County that got hit, and so some of the folks there, Eddie knew somebody that actually has a business to do drones, so we did a flyover over the damage. Instead of sending somebody out there to walk through all the down power poles and power lines and debris, we did a drone flyover to kind of gauge how bad the damage was, and that was a very quick way to do that, and it was something that we want to continue. And then the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, is a piece that we've been doing some upgrades in that with some technology so that we can make it a much more efficient operation if we have to activate it. And finally, in the recovery phase, I've got down partnership with Jackson County, Mike Curry, the emergency manager. I've worked with Mike for a long time, just tying in with him and making sure that if something happens that we're connected with what he's doing or what he needs, and the same thing with him. He knows who to reach out here to. Shelters and then feeding and housing are a big thing. Mike has been working with, and I've kind of tagged along with him with Arrowhead, the stadium out there. They're not playing football right now, darn it. So the facility's just sitting there. But if we needed to feed and house a lot of people, especially feed, they've got professional style chef kitchens and a chef and staff there that we could tap into, and they could prepare like 4,000 meals a day to feed whoever. And the chef there has already prepared 3 days worth of menus. So if something were to happen, he just hands those menus to us, we approve them, and then he's off and cooking food to feed whoever we've got to feed, whether it's at the shelters or if it's first responders that come in, we're prepared. So we're trying to look ahead as to, you've got to keep people in that fed and keep them warm and clothed and all that, and this is just one way we've been looking at that. Some of the progress we've done in 2017, the CERT program, the Community Emergency Response Team, we're just finishing up the second class from late last year. They're ready for their final exercise before they graduate. We have another class that will be starting up here April 10th, and we're promoting that now to try to get more people in. Community outreach, I'm going to continue the newsletter. These newsletters are a really key way to reach out to the community partners, whether it's individuals, whoever it is. If anybody out on City 7 wants a copy, just get a hold of me at Station 3, and we'll make sure that they start getting the newsletters. They can be sent out by email or however we need to get it to them. We've got debris management plan. I've already talked about the continuity of operations. Nixle is our emergency response program that we put in place. We used to use Code Red. We switched over to Nixle earlier this year, or earlier in 2017. And it's people can call dial 888-777, text to that, put their zip code in, and they'll start getting National Weather Service emergency notifications if they put something out about a tornado's been sighted in your area, whatever the weather might be. And that's it's a free service to everybody, and I hope more people will sign up. We've got about 3,000 to 4,000 people signed up for it now. We'd like to see a lot more signed up to it. And then strategic plan development, something I had worked on for CJC FPD, the fire, was on their strategic plan, but then we also did the one for CJC EMA to try to just gauge this is what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. It's kind of our plan of attack. Now 2018, we want to increase community outreach, whether it's going to be by doing presentations such as this to whomever in the community wants me to come out and speak about business continuity, emergency response, disaster preparedness, look at a facility for tornado shelters, whatever the case is, I'm glad to do that. Also continue to evolve our local emergency operations plan. It's not a static document. It has to continually grow and change depending on the region. Continue to support our CERT teams. Like I said, we've got a class coming April 10th that will be an 8-week basic CERT class that's open to the public. It's free of charge. So if anybody wants to attend that, just have them get a hold of Sergeant Alan Kintz at Blue Springs Police or myself, and we'll get them signed up. NIMS compliance training, the National Incident Management System, is part of what the local emergency operations plan is built on. That's the structure of it. The ICS 300 and 400, if you're more familiar with the classes. I'm an instructor for that, so we've been offering those locally to get folks that need to make sure that anybody that takes federal funds has to be in compliance with NIMS. And so we've got a lot of people that are just realizing that they need some of those classes, and so we're teaching them free of charge at CJC for them, and we'll be doing another 300 and 400 class coming up here, I'd say late March, early April. Looking for additional funding opportunities. I've always got my hand out looking for some of those grants that are out there, trying to pull those dollars in to just improve the region and take some of the burden off of our budgets that are already stretched pretty thin. And then continue enhancing local, regional, state, and federal relationships, which is the key to anything we do. You've got to know who the folks are ahead of time before you go into a disaster and you try to figure out who to contact. That's not the time to do it. You want to do it beforehand. And so part of my role is to just continue doing that. Well, to wrap it up, 2017 is really winding down. It's kind of in the book, so to speak. Now it's really just paperwork to clean up. 2018, those are continuation. A lot of the things we've been doing and some new things we want to do. You got to realize that emergency management is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not like you do something now and you forget about it. It's something you've got to stay with the whole time. Goal's still the same: protect lives, property in an all hazards manner. But we want to make sure that relationship building and partnerships, that's the key to success, and we know it's the key to success here at CJC EMA, and we want to continue doing that. And I'd like to leave you with this final thought, that we can't accomplish all that we need to do without working together, and that's what it's all about. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. If anybody has anything on this presentation, I don't have my contact information up there, but you all know how to get a hold of me. Station 3, just look for me.
Are there any questions for Mr. Boatwright? Seeing none, thank you so much for that presentation.
All right, well, thank you.
And the text number is 888777?
Yep, if you text that, and then it'll ask you for your zip code, put your zip code in, and then you'll start getting those based on your zip code.
Good.
You can also go to nixle.com, do the same thing, but it's just easier to text 888777 and put your zip code in, and you're connected.
Good, thank you. Next, we have a resolution to adopt approving the promulgation statement. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have the introduction and reading of Bill 4547.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
Okay,
First reading of Bill Number 4547, an ordinance approving final plat for the Parkway, third plat, a replat of part of Lot 2, Parkway West, first plat, lots 1 through 3.
Move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
there's a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Second reading of Bill Number 4547, an ordinance approving final plat for the Parkway, third plat, a replat of part of Lot 2, Parkway West, first plat, lots 1 through 3.
Move the bill be approved on second reading, given the appropriate ordinance number.
Second? Discussion? Did I get a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Edmondson?
Aye.
Councilman Culpepper?
Aye.
Councilman Kaler?
Aye.
Councilman Fowler?
Aye.
Councilman Carter?
Aye.
Mayor Ross?
Aye.
Carries unanimously and given ordinance number 4716.
Next, I accept a motion to adopt Resolution 06-2018, approving development and maintenance agreement with O'Reilly Development Company, LLC.
So moved.
Okay. Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have an introduction and reading of Bill 4548.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
Okay.
First reading of Bill Number 4548, an ordinance approving final plat for amended Colonial Highlands, second plat, a replat of Colonial Highlands, second plat.
Move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
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 Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Bill Number 4548, an ordinance approving final plat for amended Colonial Highlands, second plat, a replat of Colonial Highlands, second plat.
Move the bill be approved on second reading, given the appropriate ordinance number.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Kaler?
Aye.
Councilman Fowler?
Aye.
Councilman Carter?
Aye.
Councilman Edmondson?
Aye.
Councilman Culpepper?
Aye.
Mayor Ross?
Aye.
Carries unanimously and given ordinance number 4717.
Next introduction and reading of Bill 4549.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
First reading of Bill Number 4549, an ordinance imposing a use tax for general revenue purposes at the rate of 2.5% for the privilege of storing, using, or consuming within the city any article of tangible personal property pursuant to the authority granted by and subject to the provisions of sections 144.600 through 144.761 RSMO, providing for the use tax to be repealed, reduced, or raised in the same amount as any city sales tax repealed, reduced, or raised, and providing for submission of the proposal to the qualified voters of the city for their approval at the general election called and to be held in the city on April 3rd, 2018, proposing the form of the ballot to be employed at said election, and directing the city clerk to do all things called for by law in connection with holding of said election.
Move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in
Yes.
favor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Councilman Fowler.
Yes, that was a long first reading.
I'm looking forward to second reading.
Just wanted to have a little bit of discussion, maybe have staff mention this or clarify things that I may fumble. This is going on our ballot, at least it's proposed on our ballot, plus a number of other surrounding communities at this April's election.
Right.
The ballot language, I read it, it sounds a little bit confusing. I've been a little bit stingy on sales tax in the past, but this one I am going to support to put it on the ballot to let our citizens decide. I especially have listened to local business in this situation because local business, they are here providing jobs, paying sales tax, or paying property tax, and they collect local sales tax for the items that they sell. And they are seeing proportionally more and more of the business move off to the internet where they are not collecting local or sales tax. And so while you can't really tell it from reading the ballot language, that's really what it's about, and it's supporting our local businesses to give them the opportunity to be in a competitive mode with everybody else. So, staff, is that?
Right on.
Yep.
Well stated.
Okay, so looking forward to see how our community responds to this one.
Very good. Any other discussion?
I would just say, Your Honor, that it's incumbent on us to educate the public to what this thing is really about. As Councilman Fowler just said, this is not a tax increase. This is leveling the playing field between the bricks and mortar companies here in town and the internet.
Yeah, not only is it something that we have to educate, and we will do our part, but we need the chamber and other businesses out there as well to be engaged in this because it certainly affects them. And if we're not collecting revenue from those internet sales, it affects 3 pots of money for the city of Blue Springs. We just passed the parks tax, that affects that, the public safety tax, and general revenue. So all those are affected by it, and if you don't have those funds coming in, then you can't do some of the things you need to do to make sure that we continue to be a great city that provide for the needs of our citizens. So,
Your Honor, if I may?
yes.
Being a small businessman in the community, people don't realize that we as a small business compete internationally now. You know, you can buy a product today on the internet and it'll be shipped from China and be in your home within 2 days. And so this helps level that field a little bit and give us as a small business person, your neighbor, the guy next door to you, a chance to earn a living and contribute to the community. So from a business community, I think they should highly endorse this thing and get it passed.
Very well stated. Thank you.
I second that, and the fact, and also, like I say, the small business is what generates our jobs. At what they pay their property taxes. Those are the kind of businesses we need in town. So
Yeah.
Yes, certainly we're not receiving none of that from those things that are being shipped from China,
No, we're not.
for sure. Okay, if no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
All right. Second reading of Bill Number 4549, an ordinance imposing a use tax for general revenue purposes at the rate of 2.5% for the privilege of storing, using, or consuming within the city any article of tangible personal property pursuant to the authority granted by and subject to the provisions of Section 144.600 through 144.761 RSMO, providing for the use tax to be repealed, reduced, or raised in the same amount as any city sales tax is repealed, reduced, or raised, and providing for submission of the proposal to the qualified voters of the city for their approval at the general election called and to be held in the city on April 3rd, 2018, proposing the form of the ballot to be employed at said election and directing the city clerk to do all things called for by law in connection with the holding of said election.
Move the bill be approved on second reading, given the appropriate ordinance number.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, further discussion?
Yeah, Your Honor, we did mention that it was going on in other communities. Is there other communities that are going to be helping out in this education?
Okay.
Yeah, Your Honor, I believe tonight the City of Independence is having their city council meeting, and they are having their second reading of their ordinance tonight, and I would expect them to pass it as well. I believe Liberty is also going, and the city of Oak Grove is looking at it. So we have had conversations already with the City of Independence about developing a joint public education and information campaign, and so we will be working on that. Very similarly to what we did with the motor vehicle sales tax that we dealt with a couple years ago.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Fowler?
Aye.
Councilman Carter?
Aye.
Councilman Edmondson?
Aye.
Councilman Culpepper?
Aye.
Councilman Kaler?
Aye.
Mayor Ross?
Aye.
Carries unanimously and given ordinance number 4718.
Next, that brings us to mayoral announcements. It is with mixed emotions, both sad and happy, that the person sitting to my right, Dylan Gibson, is leaving us. He decided if he has to deal with cold weather, he might as well be close to ski slopes. So the 23rd is his last day with us, and he'll be moving to Colorado. He's a deputy city clerk in the city of, is it Columbia? Columbus?
It's the city of Commerce City.
Commerce City. That overlooks which large metropolitan area?
Denver.
Denver.
Yep.
So he'll be able to sit in his office and overlook Denver. But anyway, Dylan has been a great asset to the city. He's done some innovative things for us. We're certainly going to miss him, but we're happy for him.
Thank you.
We're happy for the opportunity that presents itself to him to be able to move on. And we take pride in that we had a little part of that when you go on to even greater heights. So we just appreciate what you've done for the city, and we wish you well in your new vineyard.
Thank you very much. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
The city offices will be closed on Monday, February, the second meeting in February, and that's why it's going to be on Tuesday, the 20th. The end of this month, I guess maybe January 29th, is the last day that we'll have any city employees at 903 Main. Is that correct?
Correct.
And if your last magazine will have information on it where each one of the city departments will be located while we're renovating. So Eric, would you like to add anything to that?
Absolutely, Your Honor. We are in a period of transition. Last week, we moved the water and sewer utility along with our planning department and our code department to the municipal annex, which is at 1304 Main Street, which you are all very familiar with, as we were in there for almost 2 years in temporary space. So they are up. They are unpacking boxes, but they're working. We have a number of customers that continue to come to City Hall, and they're still learning where they need to go and what they need to take care of. So we just ask for the public's continued patience with us as we go through this process, and we try to continue to be as customer focused as we can be with minimal disruption. So we will be, the HR department will be located at the field house. Water, sewer, planning, and codes is at the municipal annex, 1304 Main Street, and City Hall administration functions, including finance, will be, and the mayor's office will be located here in the public safety building. And tonight you took the first step toward approving the renovation project by the vacation of the alleyway and the rezoning of the property. Will be out at the end of January and hopefully the end of March. There will be some additional moving and some demolition that needs to occur, but the end of March, first part of April, hopefully they will be doing demolition and begin the new construction project.
Okay, that brings us to mayoral announcements. And this time every year, over the weekend, I participate in Martin Luther King Jr.'s events. On Sundays, there's always a citywide Martin Luther King event at the First Christian Church on 15th and Artemise. And this year was no different, except this year they moved it up from 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which was great. I participated in it for a number of years, and there have been times in that evening schedule that you needed ice skates to get from the parking lot into the building. So it's nice having that in the afternoon. And also on Monday night, I participated in the Olathe branch of the NAACP Scholarship and Legacy Award dinner, and Chief Muntz was with us and Sergeant Kobe Lally this year. And so we appreciate them being there. So I'm going to have a quote by Martin Luther King, and he has a number of them, but this year I'm going to do this particular quote, and I quote, "People fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other." End quote. And so he was such a wise guy, and certainly was assassinated way too early in his life. He was only 39 years old when he was killed. And it's just, if you try to imagine how much more of his wisdom and knowledge he could have embarked or instilled in us as a nation, as well as a world, because his reputation and his contributions extended way beyond the United States. So anyway, he was one of my heroes. So with that, we will go to visitors, and I do have a visitor's appearance form from one of those small business owners, Mr. Bill Fickle. If you would come up and talk to us.
There's a button, flip it here, if you can see it.
There we go. Okay. Mr. Mayor, thank you for having me here. City Council members, I am here to address you today for to announce something very exciting at Side Pockets. But a little context first. About 10 years ago, I stood before this City Council. Ron Fowler, you were still there. I'm not sure if, Kent, you were on that one or not, but we dealt with the issue of smoking in Blue Springs. And myself and our good friend Gary Cobb kind of led the charge on that one. And I believe that what this City Council did by passing an ordinance that was fair to everyone saved many businesses in this community. And I am eternally grateful for that. I think that when you had people who were not from Blue Springs in here pushing their own agenda for their own reasons and not looking out for the businesses and the people who work and live in Blue Springs, that was a bad thing. And so we had a smoking ordinance that was passed that has benefited me, has benefited many other restaurants and bars. But most of all, what it did was it gave us a choice. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that choice. Now, 10 years later, here we are, and I still have that choice, which is fantastic. I love the fact that I have the choice to run my business the way that I see fit and the way that the market bears. And I think that's a beautiful thing that, unfortunately, a lot of communities don't have. But that being said, over the last 10 years, a new generation has grown up. A new generation has grown up across not just Blue Springs, but all over the city of Kansas City and all over the United States. Less people are smoking than before. And I'm not going to get into the health things with smoking because we all know that. 10 years ago, I was never going to come before this city council and tell you that smoking was a good idea. You know, we all know the health risks involved in smoking. But in the bar industry in that time, it was a really big part of it. And granted, it still is for many of us. But that being said, nowadays, the feedback that I have gotten from my customers, and even though I do have a very strong vocal amount of customers that smoke, is that quite honestly, they don't like the way it smells. They don't like the way it makes your clothes smell. They don't like the way your eyes can burn. They don't like the way when you leave, you've got to wash your clothes when you get home or take a shower. It's just a part of my life. I mean, it just is part of who I am. So, and I'm kind of insulated in my little world. So, all of that being said, I thought that it was appropriate to come here first to announce that on March 1st, we are going to be smoke-free at Side Pockets. I'm pleased to be able to announce that for my customers and for us to move on in the future. And I never wanted to do it until I thought we could offer alternatives. 10 years ago, there was no such thing as an e-cigarette or a vape cigarette or anything else like that, something that doesn't actually blow smoke. And once again, you can debate whether or not you think that's healthy for you to do that, but at the same time, it doesn't make your clothes smell. It doesn't do all of these things that really turns people off. And at Side Pockets, we've been blessed that our pool league, our dart league, and in general, we have a healthy business. So, this, in many ways, has been a decision that I always knew was when and not if, but it also, made me hesitate for a long time. Clancy's went a few years back. I thought it was a little too soon at the time, but I do not question Jamie's wisdom because that's what he thought was right. Lunar Bowl went a few years back, and it's been a boon for them. They felt the effects of it at first, and then they came back strong. I believe that probably we're going to feel a little bit of pushback from our customers because we do have a good, loyal, strong base of customers who have smoked with us for a long time, and I love them to death. What I like to offer them is giving them the alternative of, hey, you don't even have to go outside. Use an e-cigarette, use a vaping deal, do something else. Or we're going to build them a patio out front of Side Pockets and give them that alternative too. It's also going to be nice for our customers to come outside and sit on a sunny day, be able to have a beer, watch the game, all that good stuff. But most of all, I thought that it was prudent and most important to come before this city council because this city council, I believe, made such an important choice that gave myself and other businesses the choice to do this back then and now. And in the future, I think that, and like I said, every business, I would not tell any other bar what to do with their business, as well as I wouldn't want them to tell them what to do with mine. I do think that we do have some people who travel to other communities because of it. So that's what I've seen. And so I think that that has been a big part of my decision. But at the same time, you also have so many awesome things here. We also have so many awesome things in Blue Springs, which I want to go forward and to be able to offer all of my customers. So once again, that's just my announcement. And once again, I am thrilled to be able to announce it. And once again, I appreciate this city council giving myself and other business owners the choice to be able to make this on our own.
Your Honor,
If I may, I applaud you. You are a civic leader, and others look to you for guidance, and I think it's a great way to pave that road for others. And I do appreciate you coming here and making that announcement. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bill, I can tell you that ordinance passed just before I became mayor.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also tell you that that same coalition of non-residents
Yes.
hounded me
Sure.
to take away that freedom that ordinance had allowed you guys to do. And my position was, people make choices.
Yes.
And I support wholeheartedly what the city council previous to me did. And I had no intention of bringing that up to change it. And I also remember when Gary Cobb mentioned that he was going to go smoke-free.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, that's what this community is all about. That's what makes this community special. We allow engagement from our citizens, and we let them make choices. And so we appreciate you first announcing it here with the city council.
Well, thank you very much,
We
sir.
certainly continue to wish you well in your business, and we hope to have you out there helping us with this use tax.
Absolutely. We will be there.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
I don't have any other visitors' appearance forms, so I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Same sign. We adjourn.